is it? It's the 6:58 still.
Oh,
Sorry.
This is it?
It ain't much, but it's what you got.
You scared the rest of them.
all right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the November 17th Minerva Park Council meeting. Do a quick roll call here. Councilperson Cost is not here. She is at a work event, I believe. Councilperson Shrestha.
Here.
Councilperson Camera.
Present.
Council President Wolf is also, I believe, out of town on business. Councilperson Bruger is me, and I'm sitting right here. And Councilperson McNamara
Is present.
is on that side of me. Also absent tonight is the mayor, who also is, I believe, out of town. Okay, moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Citizens' comments. If any citizen would like to make any comments, they can come up now. We have one moving.
Tony Benedetti, 2937 Berryland Court. I want to talk tonight about this, that animals under direct control ordinance, sure about that. I spent the time yesterday going over the leash laws in the different communities around here. Westerville, Worthington, Columbus, Upper Arlington, Grandview Heights, Gahanna. It appears as though this ordinance is modeled after Westerville's leash laws. The thing that is different from Minerva Park and all these other municipalities is that they all have parks and recreation departments, which have rules governing their parks. Now, Westerville, if you go to their website, or I don't know how I found it, but the Parks and Recreation Department has rules, general rules for parks, which specifically say that all dogs must be on a leash in their parks. It also goes on to describe their rules for recreational trails, where it says all dogs, all pets must be on a leash and obey the scoot law. Columbus has very similar thing where they say all dogs have to be on a leash, except when in a dog park, that they have to be under verbal control. Now, the only place where I see this verbal control, the come, sit, stay rule, is in Westerville's code. Out of all the codes, they're the only ones that incorporate that into their code, the come, sit, stay. The place where I see it most often is in the rules for a dog park. That's when the come, sit, and stay comes into play. Is if you're in a dog park and they're unleashed, you have to be able to make your dog come, sit, and stay, or it can't stay in the dog park. Now, you've got to ask yourself the question, why is it in every municipality around here, they require that all pets be on a leash in their parks? Now, like I said earlier, we're different in that we don't have a Parks and Recreation Department. So our codes need to be able to cover the parks. Now, I don't understand how anyone can feel they have their dog under direct control without a leash. Like I'll continue to say, every municipality requires it in their park areas. A lot of the village, where the walk areas are like parks. Those are our parks. So I would really like for someone to explain to me how making a dog, or having a dog come perform the come, sit, and stay trick proves that that dog is capable of being controlled under adverse conditions. When for some reason a squirrel or another dog that for some reason they don't like that dog and they go after it. The other part about this is that it is not just about a dog attacking someone. It's about a dog approaching someone that may be allergic to it. I know several people in the village who have been that are afraid of dogs. One person has been attacked by a dog a couple different times, and she doesn't hate dogs, but she would prefer to have them on a leash so that they don't approach her and take another chance of getting attacked. So I don't see how and again, I would like for someone to explain to me how you have the dog under control by giving these verbal commands. It doesn't prove anything other than it will do a trick for you at a certain point. But it doesn't enable a person to control their dog. So I really think that you guys should table this piece of legislation and talk about what other communities have done, and that they have required dogs and cats to be on a leash in the public parks. And while I got a couple minute or whatever, guys, I've been told that I come here and attack you guys constantly. Well, part of the problem is that I don't get any responses from emails. I don't know what it takes to get a response back. I send emails to everyone about code enforcement. I've added on about the codes that I continually ask. Where does it say you need a permit for a driveway or for a patio? And no response.
Thank you very much for your time and comments.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, moving on to legislation. A lot of legislation, on the agenda tonight. However, for the top to bottom, it is all just second reading, so no actual action. All right, starting from the top of the agenda, ordinance number 30, 2022, an ordinance to amend the codified ordinances of the Village of Minerva Park to include section 618.20 regarding keeping certain animals under direct control. That has been read. Moving down the line, ordinance 32, 2022, an ordinance to make appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Minerva Park for the year 2023. That is the next year's budget, second read. Ordinance 33, 2022, an ordinance updating the wage and salary ranges, the number of employees and positions for the Village of Minerva Park, and declaring an emergency. Of course, that is just a second reading tonight. We're not passing it tonight. The emergency declaration is so it can go in effect January 1 the next year. January 1, 23. Moving on, ordinance 34, 2022, an ordinance establishing health care benefits for employees and the mayor and authorizing the purchase of health insurance and declaring an emergency. Again, that is a second reading. And the emergency is so it can also take effect January 1. Next on the list is ordinance 35, 2022, an ordinance to rescind ordinance 23, 2015, EMS vehicle and related equipment and to declare an emergency. That is a second reading. Next on our list is ordinance 36, 2022, an ordinance to establish funds and declare an emergency. That is a second reading. Next, ordinance 37, 2022, an ordinance to make supplemental appropriations for the current expenses of the Village of Minerva Park for the year 2022. That is a second reading. Moving on to resolution 2022-31. I know we're out of order now, but that's how things happen, I guess. Well, because we're on to resolutions, not ordinances, we're still in order. A resolution adopting the rules of council for the Council of the Village of Minerva Park for 2023. That is a second reading. Resolution 2022-32, a resolution authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into various reoccurring contracts necessary for the continuous operations of the village and declaring an emergency. That is also just a second reading. As mentioned, they all are tonight. And lastly, resolution 2022-34, a resolution authorizing the transfer of funds and declaring an emergency. So lots of legislation, but no action tonight. All right, moving on. Anyone with old business to discuss?
I think this may count as old business.
Sure.
With regards to ordinance 30-2022, I believe that, Mr. Benedetti makes some very valid points, and if there is an appetite among my fellow members of council, I would not be opposed to tabling and reassessing, but,
Let's go with the third reading. Sorry.
yeah, I think we can discuss it maybe at the work session if there's
Yeah.
appetite
I
to do
would
so.
We can
Definitely.
definitely, and thanks for mentioning that, so
Yes.
it can get put down somewhere. We will definitely make sure that gets,
I would
brought
like-
up at the work
thank you.
session.
I mean,
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Do we need to approve the minutes of the last meeting?
We do not have those on the agenda.
It's there, I just typed them, I kind of added on the end of citizen comments, and at the end of pledge of allegiance, I apologize.
Oh, I see them now,
They're
okay.
not present on mine. Oh, yes, Pledge of
After
Allegiance minutes.
Yeah, pledge of allegiance, okay, it just got, I apologize, but not entirely my thing.
I'm
Um,
sorry.
What did Jesse call that, a Scribner's error or something like that?
Well, no, it's,
Scribner's?
Scribner, some, I he
you
used
can do
some,
it next meeting when you have the full vote, there's nothing that you do.
Yeah.
he used some fancy word for a typo once.
So we apologize, everyone, the minutes have not been approved from last meeting, but we will do that when we have full council here at our next meeting. Not as anything other than that.
I did notice trees got replaced in the neighborhood, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, any new business? I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We stand in adjournment.